Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and today's review of 2012's Master Grade Gundam Age 2 Normal comes to you courtesy of those fine folks over at Canadian Gundam. Canadian Gundam is your one-stop shop for all things Plamo and Gunpla here in North America. When you're checking out their vast catalog and placing your next order, don't forget to use the promo code Gunpla Network to save yourself 10% off. Now, as we look at the frame here, there's really not much to write home about. This doesn't have a lot of the intricate detailing that some of the other Master Grades from around this era had. It's pretty much just a blank frame with the only notable things being that part of the head is part of the frame, and you have, of course, that green, teal, clear green piece in the chest for the Age logo. And that's about it. The torso is a little complex for its transformation. I'll talk about that more in a moment. But outside of that, the frame is just kind of there. This is not one I could see anyone wanting to half build. Just because the inner frame really doesn't have any detailing or anything of interest. This is one you're going to want to build all the way through, but I thought I'd still show you the frame in case you were curious. Now, once you get it all armed up, it looks pretty good. It's true to its on-screen counterpart. This is something I had made a comment about in the high grade review, but the Age series in general lacks a lot of surface detailing. It's much more simplistic design style, which isn't bad. I actually quite like it. However, when you're going to a Master Grade and one of the big pulls for Master Grade is surface detailing, you have to add a little extra. Now, there are a lot of things that are just done with plastic color separation. The little yellow vents there on the chest, the inside of that is gray. That's plastic. You have some gray pieces showing through down on the legs and the front skirt as well, which is quite nice. But that's pretty much it. You do have some panel lining opportunities on the wings, but outside of that, in the shoulder, a little bit on the head, and just little bits here and there, pretty much everywhere else, you're pretty much done. There's not a lot of surface detailing or extra work that needs to be put into this. So if you do really like going that extra mile, this may not necessarily be your preferred type of kit, but it does also have some decals that I didn't put on because I'm, as always, trying to bring you an out-of-box representation of what the kit looks like with minimal work. That being said, it looks fine. It's exactly what you'd expect for an Age 2. The top looks good. All the panel lining opportunities are pretty much here on the shoulders, the head, the binders on the shoulders, and that's pretty much it. You have some opportunities here and there on the legs, but they're very, very minor things. They're not going to be big detailed portions. But as we do move down towards the legs, you start to see some of the kind of gapping and stuff that comes out of that transformation that, it's there. I'm just going to say that. Now, part of it is probably my building. Part of it is probably the kit's design, but I would probably lean more heavily on my building to cause the problems here. But generally speaking, aesthetically, it's quite pleasing. It's exactly what you would expect if you have watched Age and you're familiar with Age. Now, as we have a little bit of a Thorfinn double knife pose here, it is really cool that we got beam daggers with this. This is not something I at least remember being used super often in the Age 2, but it is cool that it's here, much like the 00 stuff at the time had beam daggers. This has kind of beam daggers. It's just the other side of the beam saber. You do have a full-length saber that you can plug in on the other end for kind of a new Gundam style double-sided beam saber thingy. But it is cool, and you can pull off a pose like this. Now, of course, the binders get a little bit in the way, but it is something that everything else works. Now, of course, this is a fairly dynamic-looking thing. You don't necessarily want it in a static pose. So if you do want to take some shots with it of like scraping it across the ground or something, you can do that. You do have expressive hands. These are kind of your more traditional Master Grade hands where the 4 fingers are interchangeable. Your thumb and the palm portion are kind of the part that stays on the arm. But, of course, the binders are going to get in your way again with a pose like this. A little bit of a problem. You can work around it, but it is something that for any kind of skidding pose like this or your superhero landing pose, it is going to get in the way. Now, of course, it wouldn't be the H2 if you didn't have a stand with it. And this is what you have on kind of the front of the box, at least. And it's rocking 2 beam sabers. This is a pretty signature style for Asemu. And yeah, it looks good. I quite like this look. It is part of the reason why it is the design on the front of the box. It's cool looking. But this pose looks fine. The wing binders, when you're up in the air, work much better than they do on the ground. And you, of course, have those 2 beam sabers in the hands. Are a little bit adjustable, so you can point them down if you so choose. Now, if you want to have a little bit more of a dynamic pose here, you can have him charging forward. You have quite a bit of movement in the arm and the wrist to work around those binders, and if you're in a charging pose, the binders do a lot more work towards selling that motion than they do to hinder it. So it does work quite well. Now, I will say that you're gonna start to notice with poses like this, the legs are a little finicky. Now, talking about the legs, this is actually an instance where I think the weird gimmicks that I'll rail on in a little bit actually helps the mobile suit mode. If you're doing a shark kick or a kick style pose like this, that gimmick allows you to extend the leg a little bit, to have it more exaggerated. And, well, it's not like a full gimmick with that express purpose. You can extend it a little bit, and it does exaggerate, which helps sell the kind of kicking motion. Now, I didn't have a lot of transforming master grades, nor did I have any other age master grades. So we're looking at the Curios master grade here, and it is quite a bit bigger. And I thought it was a good comparison anyway, not only because of the transformation that both of these have and the difference in technology and method, but also the design difference from 00 to Age. 00 is a lot more exaggerated, there's a lot more surface detailing, there's a lot more going on there. And the Age 2, even with the added surface detailing of the master grade, still looks very simplistic. Which, once again, is not a bad thing. It's the design. It's the whole point of what they were going for in the show with the art style. Personally, I like it, but I get that it's not everyone's cup of tea. And I think this helps show that difference better than just saying, hey, it looks different. Now, in terms of the Strider mode, I do think there's some good here, but y'all almost did not get a Strider mode of this review. Because this is absolutely, it pains me to say this, garbage. Like, I love the Age 2 in mobile suit mode. I think it has its problems in the master grade form, and aside from my love for the design, this transformation, had it not happened, had it not been a part of this kit, would have actually made the mobile suit mode better, which is it just exacerbates why I dislike this transformation. There's a lot going on here. The shoulders are absolutely awful. You'll notice in some shots so far that the shoulders sag, and it's because it is on a PC ball joint that has just like a little tab that pokes into the chest that kind of holds in place. But it is the actual, the ball joint's, ABS. It's a hard plastic, but the thing that goes over it is a PC joint. It's a soft rubbery thing. It's not going to hold very well regardless what you do, which is really disappointing because, like, as much as I wasn't going to ever use it in Strider mode anyway, it would have been nice to have the shoulders be fairly capable. But yeah, this is, I think it looks worse than that of the high grade, and it is significantly more complex and irritating. Now, of course, take that with a grain of salt. I am a person that does not like transforming kits. So I do have a bias there, I will acknowledge that. But yeah, this transformation I don't even think looks super good. Part of it's probably me doing it, but I think the over-engineering of it did not help. It did not need to be this complex and this irritating. Now on to that irritation, these are all the different parts that have fallen off on it. For me. Not even in the transformation, just in general, but most of it was the transformation. I think every single one of the binders have fallen off, if not just 3. It's not the tightest connection in the world. The 4 fingers, I think on both sides, have fallen off. The right arm on mine likes to come off. No idea why it's specifically that one, but the peg is very short. The little blue tabs that go under the shoulder thing where the binders connect also falls off. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's a hand grenade, but it is something that if you like to mess around with your kits a lot, you might have some issues with this. Now, if you're careful, you could probably get by just fine. But if you are a little rougher, or if you just don't want to be super careful with all of your kits, this is something that might be a little bit bothersome to you, because it was very bothersome to me. Like I said, you almost did not get a Strider mode portion of this review because of this issue. And the overly complex transformation didn't help, but, you know, when you're trying to transform something and things keep falling off, it's annoying. It's irritating. It's just what it is. So overall, how do I feel about this? My love for the Age 2 clashes so much with the transformation and the engineering of this kit. But overall, I think if you're an Age fan, this is actually not a bad representation. It does bring some things that the Age 2 high grade does not. Of course, the extra panel lining on the wings helps. I think its proportions look a little bit better here as well. The legs are a little finicky. I think the nub placement, the gate placement, is pretty bad on a lot of the blue. You'll notice it definitely on the actual blue part of the binders, and on the chest you don't really see it as much, but it is there. So it's not all over, but it is certain places where it's very, very noticeable. And the transformation's just horrid. But everything else, it's a good representation of the Age 2. It adds just a little bit of flair without making it totally different from what its screen counterpart was. Its head is very well done. I didn't even put the eye stickers on it. I just put the silver ones behind them, and it catches the light superbly. It's phenomenal. The Maxis gun is... I think it's the Maxis gun. The beam rifle is very, very well done. Oddly enough, I don't think I've ever just sat here and been like, yeah, the beam rifle is a huge selling point for an accessory I'm not going to use. But, you know, the ideas were there, the execution was not. There are some things that work on this kit, but there's a lot that don't. If you were an Age fan or you just like this design and you're going to stand it on your shelf and probably not touch it a lot, I would say go for it. It's actually quite good looking. If you like to mess around with things, if you like to transform things, or you just don't care about Age, I'd say this is probably one of those you probably pass up. Anyway, those are my thoughts. If you have any questions, pop them down in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them. And of course, if you've built this and have your own thoughts to share, let me know. I'd love to hear them. Anyway, I've been the Spicer here for the Gunpla Network. As always, friends, do your best to stay safe and keep on building.